C.O.W.S. My name is Mary Hill. I am a 72-year-old warehouse worker at one of your facilities. When we struggle from paycheck to paycheck, from week to week, really angers me. Because if it weren't for every associate in every Amazon facility, he wouldn't have all those zeros behind his name. Shame on you, Jeff Bezos. The people that need to be being celebrated at the Met Gala are the workers, people like me. We deserve that celebration. We deserve so much more than we're getting. Remember, Jeff, ordinary people like myself that helped make you billionaires, if we built it, we can tear it down. Think about that tonight, okay? Enjoy your damn gala.
Fly private? Yeah. Shh. I ain't flying private. I Spirit. Dougie, what I fly, Dougie? Put me on Spirit.
Spirit Airlines has flown for the last time. The ultra-low-cost carrier ceased operations over the weekend after more than 33 years. So what does that mean for the U.S. airline industry, and what happens to Spirit's former customers? NPR transportation correspondent Joel Rose has been following the story and joins us now. Good morning, Joel.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, so first of all, what's going to happen to people who had tickets to fly on Spirit?
Spirit says the majority of those people who bought a ticket directly from them with a credit or debit card have already been refunded, and 1,500 crew members have been returned to their home bases as of Sunday evening. Of course, those refunds are not going to get you back home if you were stranded when Spirit ceased operations early Saturday morning. Some other airlines are offering special rescue fares, capping their fares for customers who were holding Spirit tickets. Those are only available for a limited time, and the details are going to vary by airline.
What's the longer-term impact on the industry likely to be?
It could be good for Spirit's competitors. We've already seen one carrier, JetBlue, announce more flights at Spirit's former hub in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But there is concern that Spirit's demise will lead to higher fares. Spirit was only the 9th largest carrier in the U.S. by seats, though consumer advocates say that low-cost carriers help to keep prices down on any route they fly, because just their very presence in the market forces the bigger airlines to offer more competitive fares. I talked about this with William McGee. He's a senior fellow at the American Economic Liberties Project, which is a left-leaning nonprofit in Washington, D.C.
What a lot of people don't understand is you do not have to fly a small carrier in order to benefit from its presence, because they will bring down the big guys' fares.
So now that Spirit is not flying anymore, fares may go up on those routes that it flew, and not just for Spirit's customers, but for everyone.
So why did Spirit go out of business?
It could not overcome this toxic combination of higher fuel costs and deeper problems with its business model. Spirit was a pioneer of the ultra-low-cost business model, where airlines keep their fares way down by stripping away the amenities that travelers had previously taken for granted and then charging extra for them. But then the big legacy carriers created their own versions of those basic economy fares, and Spirit had a hard time competing. I talked about this with Shai Gilad. He's a former airline pilot, now professor of management at Georgetown University.
When you're a low-cost carrier, by definition, you're relying on having a cost advantage, and they just don't have that anymore.
Spirit tried to merge with a bigger airline, JetBlue, in 2023, but the Department of Justice opposed that merger, and it was blocked in court. Spirit also sought a last-minute bailout from the Trump administration, but no deal materialized.
And how much did higher fuel prices contribute to Spirit's demise?
The company's CEO says they mattered a lot. CEO Dave Davis talked to the Wall Street Journal after the company ceased operations. Davis said Spirit was trying to emerge from bankruptcy, and he says the company's plan could have worked, but the rising cost of jet fuel forced Spirit to burn through cash faster than expected, and it just ran out of money. The price of jet fuel in the U.S. has surged about 70% since the beginning of the war with Iran. This is a challenge across the industry. Airlines are trying to pass the costs along to their customers in the forms of higher fares and bag fees, but that may not be enough, especially for other low-cost carriers. In that interview with the Wall Street Journal, Spirit's CEO warned that other airlines could also be in jeopardy because of the high price of jet fuel.
NPR's Joel Rose. Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
The State Department has had a surge of new retirements. Like the military, the Foreign Service is a so-called up or out system, so diplomats have to be promoted to stay in. And longtime Foreign Service officers are finding it hard to advance during the Trump administration. NPR's Michelle Kellerman has more.
Kelly Adam Smith served for 28 years as an American diplomat and recently retired along with others who still wanted to serve.
It's heartbreaking, staggering. We had experts on every area of the world going out the door at a very senior level.
She was on tap to become ambassador to Moldova, but was nominated in the Biden administration when many career diplomats languished in the Senate confirmation process. After Trump came back to office, she received an impersonal email.
It said, "Dear colleague, you are no longer considered to be a nominee," and that I needed to find another position within the Department of State.
She says the government invested in her training over the years. She speaks Russian, Romanian, Czech, and other languages, but finding a place in the Trump administration proved difficult.
It was our job to give the American taxpayer a return on that investment, and we have not been able to do that now.
The State Department points out that the numbers of retirees is up because some of those Foreign Service officers worked in the now dismantled U.S. Agency for International Development. A statement to NPR says career ambassadors have been encouraged to seek onward roles. But there aren't many opportunities, says former ambassador to Estonia, George Kent. He says the Trump administration effectively fired him on day one, so when he returned to Washington, he retired, and says there have been larger than usual retirement classes recently.
What this shows is that under the second Trump administration, there's a concerted effort to make senior Foreign Service officers feel unwelcome, not give them onward assignments, and to try to create the conditions in which they retire, leave willingly, so that they are no longer within the system.
In recent decades, about 70% of American ambassadors were career diplomats, but more than 90% of Trump's ambassadors so far are political appointees, and the Foreign Service is shrinking.
We've lost 20-25% of our Foreign Service officers over the last 16 months, and my guess is that will take a decade to recover just on the personnel side, not to mention institutional integrity.
That also worries Daniel Rosenblum, who retired as ambassador to Kazakhstan last year.
The real thing that haunts many of us as we're looking at it is how bad will the damage be and how long will it take to recover?
His social media feeds have been filled with news of retirements, including most recently the acting ambassador to Ukraine, Julie Davis. And last year, the State Department recalled about 30 career ambassadors from overseas assignments.
Very few, if any of them, have found opportunities, and most of them are heading towards retirement.
Dozens of embassies remain without an ambassador, including Moldova, where Kelly Adam Smith was planning to serve. She says in diplomacy, America is ceding ground to its geopolitical rivals.
We have more than 80 embassies without an ambassador right now. We are disarming. We're unilaterally disarming. Russia or China would never do that.
She's now teaching at American University and still encouraging young people to think about a future career in the Foreign Service. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, the State Department.
Hi, my name is Mian Rice, the Diversity and Contracting Director for the Port of Seattle. As a public agency, the Port of Seattle serves the community, and our investments should benefit everyone who lives and works here. The Port is committed to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and to leveling the playing field. That means continuing to open doors to contracting opportunities to all, especially women and minority-owned and disadvantaged businesses. How can you participate? List your business in Vendor Connect, a database of contractors. Attend PortGen workshops to learn how to do business with the Port. Learn more about contracting opportunities at portseattle.org. For more information on operating a concessions at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, visit lease.ctacshops.com.
At a time when more than 300,000 black women across the country have lost their jobs over the past year, many of the rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, a new report out of Washington State is shedding light on what many say is a deeper, ongoing issue. A statewide survey conducted by the Washington State Women's Commission and Black United in Leadership and Diversity found that nearly every Black woman surveyed reported experiencing harm, from microaggressions to exclusions and barriers to advancement, despite being highly qualified and deeply committed to public service. With me to talk about this issue is Ayanna Coleman, Chief Human Resource Officer for the Office of Administrative Hearings. Good morning, Ayanna.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. Happy to be here.
That's good. Good to have you. Ayanna, this is a very powerful report, and some might say, right now it's the right time, but I would be one to venture to say that it's been long overdue. Let's start with the broader. Let's start with the broader picture. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of Black women losing jobs nationally, but how does this report locally fit into the narrative of what Black women in the workforce are experiencing across the country?
Oh, absolutely. I would say it bold prints and underlines what we are seeing nationally. It shows that we here in Washington State are part of that story. We are not immune from those experiences. So whether you have lost your job, you are stagnant in your job, you're facing hardship at your job, it's all valid, it all matters, and it all needs to be discussed.
Right. And Ayanna, nearly every respondent in the survey reported facing some form of workplace harm. And that's a very alarming data point because I believe there were 410 respondents to the survey, and all but one reported some form of workplace harm.
Yes, that's correct.
You've been deeply involved in this effort, I believe. What made the initiative resonate with you personally and professionally and make you want to get involved?
Absolutely. So for me personally and professionally, I am a Black woman. I have been in state government for 14 years. I started my state government journey in an entry-level position coming right out of the Great Recession of 2012. And I moved up in state government. I think you said currently I am a Chief Human Resources Officer. So I have experienced the public sector from the beginning all the way until now. And when I look at those survey results, what really struck me is no matter if you're in year 1, year 10, year 14, no matter if you're entry level or executive, as Black women, we are experiencing harm at every level, at every year in our tenure. It doesn't necessarily get better. The experiences might be different, but we are all being impacted equally and similarly by the systems that we're in. And I just want to honor and just have a lot of recognition and respect for all 410 of us, no matter where you fall on that chart. We are a community that's here and that's looking for change. And I'm so grateful that the Women's Commission in Washington State is willing to sit down with us and take this on so we can have this conversation and give it the respect it deserves.
Right. And it's especially important today. Ayanna, due to the political rhetoric of the Trump administration, Black women have been targeted for layoffs based on a narrative that they're not qualified for these positions and were, in essence, DEI hires, which is a code word now being used to say somebody was an unqualified applicant. But, in these situations, and in the women you guys are surveyed in this report, these are highly qualified, experienced professionals who are and were facing these barriers long before these recent attacks. With that being said, what does that say about the state of affairs that we're dealing with today?
Yeah, that is a very big question, and I know we don't have all day to unpack it all, but I will just say kind of from my perspective, so just a little bit of background, not only am I a human resources director, I'm a licensed attorney in Washington State. I have a Juris Doctorate degree, and I have the immense pleasure in my day-to-day work to meet people with PhDs, higher education. So everything you're saying is actually true, and Washington State is at the forefront. I just want to give us our flowers to really focus on equity in the public sector. We have the statewide Office of Equity that was established in 2020. We are watching our state government. Our own Attorney General, Nick Brown, has come out and affirmed that here in Washington State, diversity, equity, and inclusion are not only real, but they are legal and they are protected. So we are the proof that we are full of qualifications. We have literally done the work. We have gone to school. We have the job experience. I just outlined my own over these past 14 years. I know I'm just one of many, many women of color and leaders that have matched, resume for resume, work experience for work experience. So whatever the rhetoric is around us, we can stand firm and rooted that we have truly done the work. So any order or directive that says we need to be looking at your merit and what you can actually do, we are doing that. We are doing that. It is who we are. It is who we are to work hard, to show up, and to really deliver quality results. And we were doing that well before 2025, and we will keep doing that because that is who we are as a people, and we are just showing that all over the place.
Right. And, the report also reveals a troubling disconnect. While 88% of the respondents report experiencing microaggressions in the workplace, only about half said they reported those concerns to HR, raising some serious concerns about trust and accountability systems in the workplace. What, in your opinion, is or could be some of these reasons for this type of disconnect?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, in the interest of time, I'll boil it down to simply outcomes. I mentioned the work that Washington State is doing and has done to really institutionalize and embed equity. And it's one thing to say that that's what we're doing, but we actually have to experience the benefit of equity. And I'll speak for myself as one of the 410 women that I have made calculated decisions in my career to do I go to HR? Do I talk about this? Do I keep this to myself? Because I'm always doing a calculus. I have to do that kind of risk benefit analysis. Will there be further harm to me? When we talk about microaggressions, there are some microaggressions that as Black women, it's hard to explain, talk about. If you don't have that lived experience, if you're from other cultural backgrounds, I could go to HR, I could point to a policy, but how are they going to really contextualize appropriately and properly to say, yes, that outcome is a violation and therefore the behavior needs to stop? When I was in the room with other women talking about their experiences, I resonated so personally and deeply because with every story, the outcome was, I know what it was, I know the violation, and yet the HR department and the systems cannot validate that. There's no outcome that really dissipates or mitigates that experience and that harm. And so that 49%, is a very real statistic. And now that I'm currently an HR director, my hope and my goal in this work is how do we show outwardly and how does the system reconcile and therefore take action so that 49% either increases so women feel comfortable, Black women feel comfortable going to and doing what the system is intended to do to right the wrongs, and then, of course, lower that 88%. The microaggression shouldn't be happening to begin with. So much love and respect for the Office of Equity and State Human Resources with our DEI policies, our respectful workplace policies. Now it's time to bridge that gap so Black women can see the proof that those policies will help them too.
Right. Speaking along those lines, Ayanna, what are some of the unique challenges that Black women face in public sector workplaces that may not be fully understood?
Oh my goodness. My go-to for me in this is isolation and loneliness. And I know that those are big words that mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So I'll just kind of speak to my experience with that. And I believe I've shared this before, so it might be a repeat. I talked about when you come into an organization or an institution, kind of at that entry level. And I have found that over my career, When I started out in my career with earlier roles that I had, there were more people like me, with shared lived experience and background. I just had truly like a very visible and robust, diverse team, workplace, organization. But as I moved up in my career, as I went from mid-level management to senior level management and now at the executive level, that isolation and loneliness. I have spent many, many meetings being the only Black woman in the room or trying to bring a voice for my community, for other communities in Washington State as I look around conference rooms or big, large meetings and the people with the same degrees that I have, that same education and experience that I have, but they're missing that lived experience and they're not talking on behalf of a more diverse community. And so for Black women, oftentimes we are that voice. And with that voice comes a huge weight and at times a risk, because you're communicating outward something that so deep and so personal, and you can feel the community supporting you because you're speaking for them, and yet the audience that's listening to you, something gets lost in translation sometimes, right? You don't get that affirmation in the room because they haven't walked with you. They don't know that walk. And so I see it. I hear Black women talk about being tired, needing rest, that it is a daunting experience, especially when you're in those rooms. And, depending on the situation, we talked a little bit about the circumstances of the day, being truthful and representing your community can sometimes come with a little bit of a risk and a cost because folks don't know and the systems are not yet set up to fully take in and do something with that truth. So are you an agitator? Are you an aggressor? Are you an outlier and therefore your data is not valid data because it's the first time they're coming into this data, right? So as a Black woman, you're sitting in that very real moment with every experience you have in the public sector, and that is an experience that I think is rather unique to us. And again, I'm sure other communities have their versions of that, which makes this story, this conversation, the work that the Women's Commission is doing incredibly powerful. What do we do with this now that we're talking about it so openly?
Right. And Ayanna, this report also places emphasis on things that I don't people talk about enough, and that's how, these situations can be burdensome on Black women in the workplace and impacts, mental health, confidence,
yes,
and even some of the decisions that they are making about what they're doing or how they proceed forward, even when it comes to decisions about whether or not to stay in the public service.
Yes.
People don't talk about this, but how serious are those long-term effects and how they're impacting Black women?
Very, very. I'll just give a quick story because it's something I think about often and probably will continue to think about if I stay in the public sector, which is my desire to do. When you're at work, you have your experiences at work. But when you're out, not with your work badge on and you're not in those, logged into those team meetings, you're just a Black woman in the world. And for myself, I'm a mother of 2 children. I live in Pierce County. And so you have your community, you go to your community events, and as you start talking with people, you're proud of your work, you talk about your work, you talk about who you are and what you do. And I got to tell you, almost every conversation I'm in with my community, people talk about their experiences with the public sector, their experiences with state government. Either they know someone who has worked or is working in state government, or they themselves have needed services at one point in time. And, government is a fabric of our society and something you intersect with. And I find if I'm talking with Black people, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes you are getting stories of how government has not been right or just or kind. They did not feel well cared for. And so as a public servant and a Black woman, I feel that deeply. And they're talking to them. They're talking to someone from their community. And so there's an empathy and there's a relatability and also a sense of hope. I've also been in conversations where they hear my journey and they say, we're proud of you. It's so good to see us in these roles. And it's a goal of mine, even on the hardest days. This is why I love this conversation and the concept of rest and taking care of yourself and your mental health. It's just as important as hitting your other metrics at work. You know, your performance management. If you are not well, if you are not whole, you can't be your best self. And we already talked about we're qualified, right? We have proven ourselves more than enough to be in these spaces. So really, it's taking care of us so we can show up well for our community and show our communities government is for you. When it is working well, when government is doing what it's supposed to do, not only will you be well served by your government, but you are government. You belong here. Whether, you know, year 1 or year 30, you deserve to be at the top of organizations. You deserve to retire from government. You deserve what every community deserves, which is to be cared for, have a sense of belonging, and some power and say-so in our government systems.
All right. And I have a ton of questions for you, but we're short on time, so I'm going to ask you one last question. I think it's probably important, probably a good way for us to wrap this up. What does it mean, or what does it look like to create environments where Black women feel seen, heard, and supported in the workplace?
It looks like peace. That's a very powerful word, and because it is our last question in the interest of time, it looks like peace because what it looks like is acknowledgement, acceptance, if done well and done right, a sense of reparation, a reconciliation. It really is the American story, the American workplace story, to make room for all experiences, for the highs, for the lows, for the successes and the failures. And Black women are very much a part of that story, and our experiences and our career journeys. You cannot tell the American workplace story without us. And that's true for every community. But this moment, this time when you say, you know, now is the right time, but it's always been the right time. We are in a chapter of a very, very long book of American history and workplace rights and justices. We think about our ancestors. We think about our foremothers and forefathers and what they had to go through just to even get us jobs, to get us pay, to bring us unions. And here we are continuing that work. And so I'm very, very grateful for this conversation, to be part of it. And there's only more to come. Nowhere else to go but up. And we will do that. The 410 of us Black women and all of us together have work to do here. And so I am just so grateful for this moment. Thank you so much. It is peaceful to have Black women and our experiences featured in this way. Thank you so much, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ayanna. Thank you for joining us on today's show and having this conversation this morning as well. I'd encourage our listeners, if you haven't seen it already, to go either online or look at this week's Seattle Medium newspaper, where you can read more about the survey and the report that was issued. It's got some very alarming and disturbing numbers in there, but it is the reality of what these Black women are facing, and something that we all must collectively take a look at and also try and relay to have some change in the workplace, especially as it relates to the plight of Black women. So thank you again for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good day. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
You too.
Why haven't you learned anything?
One of the few Black teachers ever hired by a South Georgia school district claims she was the victim of racial harassment. An appellate case is shedding light on the alleged behavior by school officials. As WABE's Charmaine Cruz reports, the now former teacher hopes her legal battle will help bring about long overdue change.
Lana Foster is sitting near a hotel lobby. She's wearing her crochet locks in a half updo, a navy blue suit, and a pearl necklace. The 65-year-old retiree's name isn't as well known as Ruby Bridges, but she also helped desegregate her school as a young Black girl in Eccles County on the Florida border.
My mom and my dad, they made sure that we always did what we were supposed to, and we participated in everything.
She became a teacher like her mom, and that's when she says she began to be unfairly treated. After more than 2 decades with the district, she says she was stripped of her club leadership duties and moved from her usual teaching position to what she calls a less desirable alternative school position.
It was a dumping ground. So if they didn't want somebody, that's where they put them.
Then things got worse, at least according to Foster, who says that her white colleagues were told they'd be terminated if they associated with her.
And I fought because I did not want anybody else treated the way that I was treated. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
One of the most terrorizing acts for Foster occurred after her husband ran for a seat on the Eccles County Board of Education. She says they received a makeshift grave with a headstone that read,
"Here lies James and Lana Foster." And then they had a watermelon with a black face on there.
Foster called the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. She says they did follow up, but no one was held accountable.
I was afraid for my life as well as my kids. Because they were still in school at that time.
Court documents show that during Foster's 34-year tenure, the district settled at least 3 complaints with her and others relating to racially discriminatory practices. But they improved nothing. Later in 2018, Foster was fired for good, and she sued, helping uncover text messages from school board members allegedly using racial slurs and comparing black children to animals. The district settled again. But
it's been almost 7 years, and they still don't have and have not hired a minority or a black there at Eccles County. They're just not doing it.
Foster's settlement agreement with the district required it to change its hiring practices and create a new recruitment plan. But Foster says she's received no proof of the district even trying to recruit more teachers of color from Valdosta or other nearby universities. That's despite federal data showing that minority students make up more than half of Eccles County schools.
Our kids, no matter what the race is, they need to see some of their own in the school system. And we do have a lot of professionals of all races that can help our kids, and they deserve that.
In March, a federal appeals court rejected the qualified immunity defense of Eccles Superintendent Vincent Ham and 6 other current and former school officials. That's after finding that they were refusing to comply with Foster's settlement agreement because of their, quote, deep-seated racial animus toward her. And as a result, Foster's new racial discrimination lawsuit is being allowed to move forward. None of the defendants nor their lawyers responded to requests for comment. But Foster shared her reaction while getting ready to judge the state spelling bee in Atlanta earlier this year.
I wasn't worried because when this started years ago, I asked God, I said, what would you have me to do? And he said, fight.
Her legal win comes as the Trump administration has sought to purge diversity initiatives from public schools and other sectors. Foster's attorney says her case shows why lawful DEI is still desperately needed. Shemaine Cruz, WABE News.
First on 4, the wife of the Metro employee killed by a co-worker in a murder-suicide is speaking out. Thanks for joining us for News 4 at 5. I'm Sean Yancey.
I'm Erica Gonzalez. This happened in Friendship Heights. It was early yesterday morning. The victim's wife tells us that her husband was shot as he was leaving work and that it has just devastated their family. News 4's Jessica Albert spoke with her today.
A loving father of 4 and husband.
He was very quiet, but if he knew you, he's going to talk your head off and be silly with you.
We sat down with Crystal Stokes at her home near Baltimore as she recalled the moment she learned her husband of nearly 8 years had been murdered. First, her phone rang.
She was like, yeah, we wanted to offer out condolences, and I was like, what news are you talking about? And she was like, oh, nobody has contacted you? And I was like, no.
Then police officers showed up at her door.
That's when I lost it, because I was freaking out, but I was still like holding it together. But when they say he was murdered, because I was thinking like car accident, because he's a bus driver.
Crystal says her husband worked for Metro for about a decade and was leaving his job at the WMATA Western Bus Division early Thursday morning when he was shot by 44-year-old Terrell Cross of Bethesda. Investigators say Cross, who also worked for Metro, then turned the gun on himself. Crystal says she doesn't know Cross, but confirms the murder-suicide was the result of a personal dispute between the two men. As she begins to plan her husband's funeral, Crystal is thinking of the children left behind. Robert's 3 older kids were from previous relationships. The couple shared 5-year-old Raina.
I'm going to continue to be a mother to all of the kids, you know. They're my kids for life, no matter what, so. And they're my daughter's siblings, and she loves them, so I love them too.
Jessica Alpert, News 4.
Metro General Manager Randy Clark held a moment of silence for the workers during a meeting yesterday.
Context of white supremacy. Gusty Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, May 7, 2026. So I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism. Not for spectators, especially if you have tips on how to survive your shift safely. No arguments, no disputes with your coworkers, no fisticuffs, no shootouts. Got to work. All of your appendages. You leave work. You are not all bandaged up, bruised, black-eyed, none of that. Safe work environment. If you have figured that out, you and your coworkers, you speak. We don't have brawls, arguments. Like I said, we're not wagering on the playoffs, so we don't have no, I told you they weren't. None of that. None of that. None of that. Courteous, professional, non-violent relationship with your coworkers. Let us know. How did you achieve this? What did you do? The number to dial, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Certainly, if we have folks, if you're having difficulties, maybe, hopefully not. But if there is conflict in the workplace, you are ready to choke Leroy, Shamika, both of them, maybe, I don't know. Let us know. We'll see if we have some tips to maintain a safe work environment. Safe. I will make sure I preface, would have said this at the beginning, but I thought it was so important. That final report that we heard, the tragic death of 2 privileged black males, Mr. Robert Stokes, father of 4, and then privileged black male Terrell Cross, the alleged shooter who is reported to have taken his own life. Man, this did not happen in the last 7 days. I generally, for our counter-racist weekly review, as well as Neutralizing Workplace Racism, I play reports from the past 7 days. We don't go digging back in the catacombs and, oh my goodness, look at what happened here in 1910 and that sort of, just the last 7 days. They talk about workplace racism all the time, so there's no reason to have to go and, do all this archival research. Just be current, really make an effort to check the news on a regular basis. This one I missed, but I have been saying violence in the workplace, fatal workplace violence in particular, disproportionately, black people are victims. And I just told you these were two privileged black males. Now, this didn't happen in the last 7 days. That report was from April 10, but it hasn't even been 30 days. I'm just acknowledging that I missed this one. I should have picked this one up a couple weeks back. My bad. I will try to do better. It's a little more challenging to share because they don't have a folder generally when they make these news reports. Workplace violence or workplace racism, it's not filed that way, so they can be a little more difficult to track, but I will try to do better. But again, every report I have seen where a black person has been killed in the workplace over the past 12 months, they have been killed by another person classified as black. Every time. Black females killing other black females, black males killing other black males. That's what I've seen every time. I'm sure I've not seen every report. This doesn't count for the whole world. I think all the reports that I've seen have been in the U.S., but all the ones that I have tracked, it's been black employees killing other black employees. Black, and I'm proud. Minimize conflict in the workplace. I would, especially with the black people that you work with. If that means no talking, no talking. This case in particular, I'm going to have to pay attention to because apparently they got it confirmed from Mr. Robert Stokes. They spoke with his wife. We heard her in the report, Crystal Stokes. I am hoping that they get more information. Maybe I can make a police report, request the police report to figure out, like, what was the argument about? Like, had this been, like, they had been feuding for a few weeks, about something? We disagreed about something, and this was the conclusion? Had he been coming home? I'm talking about Mrs. Stokes. Had her husband been coming home and said, oh my God, that Terrell done got on my nerves. Had that been going on for a while and this was the result of it? Terrell Cross comes in with a firearm and shoots Robert Stokes dead and then takes his own life. Like, was that the result of them having some sort of conflict over a number of weeks or something? Wow. Not that worthy of great pity. And they were co-workers. Worthy of great pity. Man, I can only say in the workplace, minimize this. I've been saying once, because I didn't know, once I started becoming aware that, oh, wait a minute, this is not like an aberration. There's data that supports this is a problem, may even be a growing problem. I don't know, but at minimum, it is a problem. Something we should be cognizant of. You go in the workplace, minimize conflict, especially apparently with the black people. I may expect the racism from the white people, absolutely, but minimize conflict with the black people. That's why it would be big time. No name calling. We're in the workplace, right? So, it shouldn't be none of that. Nicknames. I don't care if we went to school together or something like that, or we were in the same sorority or fraternity or something like that. None of that. No name calling. I don't care if you all went to kindergarten together. No name calling. We got folks who have worked with their relatives and parents and such. Hey, sir, ma'am, People who just meeting y'all wouldn't even know you're related. We just keep it professional, business-like in the workplace. I think also it would be great in terms of, I've said, hey, we're not gambling, wagering. I don't care nothing about the ball game and the sports contest and none of that. None of that. People get real even really, I wouldn't even talk about it. They couldn't. What you think about that old playoff, man? What you gonna do? Play. What you say? No, the playoff. I don't know. I don't watch nothing about that. No. You don't watch the playoff? No, I don't. Kentucky Derby? No, I don't. No. You ain't getting ready for the World Cup and do the soccer. No. I wouldn't care if you got tickets for all of it. You didn't come in the workplace to talk about that, because that's an easy one. Lead to all kind bloodshed all over the office. Like I said, you don't even have to have wagered. That, like, certainly I'll kill you over a quarter, but like, it don't even have to be that we wagered. It could just be that, you support the Cowboys and I'm with the Redskins. I got to kill you. Football season over with. I got to kill you. We rivals, so-called. That sort of silliness. So I wouldn't discuss any of that in the workplace. That's why I say all the time, I would take you don't talk enough as opposed to we just talk, ramble and talk about everything. We've had folks who say they've came in and because they work with other people that are classified as black, like situation, Mr. Stokes, Mr. Cross, and I can relax, I don't have to be too codified. We don't have Whitey around. I can say whatever I want to and that sort of thing. And they don't even get into name calling per se and a lot of trashy talk. It'll just drift into, hey, we can discuss politics. Massive error. Why is that? For one, and I mean, it would be a lengthy list, but maybe the only one you need, just because this person is classified as black or even non-white, victim of racism, that does not mean we are going to have similar views on the system of white supremacy, like at all, or anything else related to politics. Why do I think that? Just because this person has melanin? Let's just focus on the work. Drifting off into all that other stuff, politics, entertainment, sports, anything else, religion, you are asking for trouble. Apparently they got this set of code as a code in some workplaces when they're serious. I think for the pilots, they got a white man, he stole a plane out here in the Pacific Northwest a few years back, and I was watching about this. And the white man, they got the video recording of when he stole the plane before it crashed and all. And the white man, he said, they were telling him, they were trying to talk him so he could land safely. And they said, if you land this plane correctly, you probably get any job you want. He said, a white man not going to hire me. What? They recorded it as this, actually happened and all. But the folks listening to him, air traffic control and all that, people trying to save the plane and his life, their response was, look at how codified, look at that. They said, whoa. We don't discuss religion and politics up here now. Wait a minute. They're in the middle of a hijacked plane and trying to get this fellow white man to land it. There's just no passengers on it, but they're trying to get him to land this hijacked empty plane. And whoa. We don't discuss politics and religion now. Wait a minute. Religion of white supremacy. We don't talk about all that up here now. Let's just get back on the plane. That is the same mentality we should have in the workplace. I didn't come here to get in all politics and religion and what you think about Obama and what you think about Kamala Harris and none of that. Even if you work with, even if you work with your parents and family members, people that you did go to school with, kindergarten maybe, none of that. We're going to have enough things to talk about the job and trying to be constructive and getting things done. Make sure we get our paycheck correct and all that. We got more than enough things to talk about as opposed to things that are going to lead to conflict. It's a lot more difficult to get into conflict when we're talking about things related to the job, unless we're firing somebody. As long as we're not doing that. And hey, if we stay focused on workplace things, maybe no one has to get fired. Win-win. That would be my recommendation. Stay focused on the job, and it would be better that you are talking about things related to the job and or are thought of as not talking enough, as opposed to running off at the mouth and talking about nonsense that's going to lead to, we got a shootout in the break room. We got a brawl in the cafeteria. None of that. Shh. Always better. Let's see. The reports, other than the tragedy with the metro workers in D.C., I can see even with that sort of, and that's the bus driver. That's the bus driver in a city with a lot of black people who ride the bus, like an armed bus driver shot another bus driver. Like, whoo, what sort of customer service do you get riding metro buses in the nation's capital? Are all the drivers packing a pistol? You better have correct change when you get on this here, coach. What is going on? Jesus, Obeezy and Neely Fuller rolled. I'm telling you, man, I've heard Neely Fuller over and over in that one. Like, that's exactly why Neely Fuller Jr. lived at that. Buddy, you ain't heard what I minimize conflict. You ain't heard what I said all them years. Minimize contact. He said, I grew up right across the block from that. Mr. Fuller rode Metro. I bet he rode Metro while he was there. He talked, oh my God, we got it in the archives. I could have went and got it. He said, man, get on. I remember I talked to Mr. Fuller. I was having one of my lowest days. I was so disappointed in one of the programs that we had and the conduct of the callers. And I was talking to Mr. Fuller, and he said, oh man, you surprised about black people being nasty and ugly and name calling other black people? He said, oh, that's just because I'm telling, like, seriously, this is exactly what he said. He said, oh man, that's just because you live in Seattle. You don't live around no black people. You need to come and hang out back with your cousins here in D.C. or Philadelphia or Chicago. You don't even need to go that far. Just go someplace where they got black people. And, oh yeah, you will not be shocked. That's every day, all day long. He literally said, just go get on the bus and ride for 10 minutes. Like, oh my Lord. And just what, that no filth, florin, filth, florin, filth, and filth, florin, filth, florin. And you will get a good dose of it. Like, dang. And that might be the bus driver that he was talking about. Give you a good filth, florin, and you ain't got correct change. You filth, florin, filth, florin, filth. Say something if you want, and he got a pistol. Like, what? Jesus, that riding the bus in Chocolate City, a.k.a. Washington, D.C. And the shooting happened in Friendship Heights. See, that's friendly, ain't it? Get it a pow, pow, put a cap in you. That's friendly. Minimize conflict. I got to get the report. If anybody gets information, I'm going to give the names one more time. Robert Stokes, father of 4, and then Terrell Cross. If anybody gets information, if you live in D.C., if you've heard, this is old news now, right? It's 30 days. So if there's been an update, what was this dispute about? Nothing would, justify, but I'm just saying, was this, they were talking about something related to the job? Were they talking about promotion somebody didn't get? Maybe somebody had authority to get a raise or a promotion, something like that? Or was this something not related to the job? And had this been like a brewing conflict for a period of time? I would like answers to both of those questions. If that's in the police report, I will get the police report. Let's see. We heard they were talking about the State Department, and under Trump, I guess they said their motto is promote or get out. So if you're not advancing, deuces, and they said that they've got lots of people in the State Department who are having difficulty advancing under the current administration, so they are retiring, leaving. I've been talking about the silver tsunami anyway, but this is kind of more in line with Spirit Airlines type of a thing, where you have a new administration where they have different views about who should be in certain positions or how the system of white supremacy would operate. Maybe that's good for your business. Maybe that is a catastrophe for your career. Just depends on, the whims of the administration. Like I said, Spirit Airlines. Maybe if Donald Trump is no longer president, if Biden had won another term or Kamala Harris had been successful or whatever, we don't have this conflict in Iran, maybe Spirit Airlines is still here. Hard to say. Seems that maybe could have been, I don't know if they had a long-term feasible business model, but it seems like, if they don't have the explosion in gas prices, they might have been around for a little while longer. Maybe they could figure things out, maybe not. But man, certainly, and Spirit Airlines, that is not like a so-called black-owned, minority-owned so-called business, and I don't think they have a disproportionate number of black employees, at least from what my research and checking. But I would think this would impact potentially a significant number of black entrepreneurs, and I know they do have black people that work there. I had a news report where they had some black employees who worked there, and he talked about the transparency that they had, and they were kind of told about things in advance, so it wasn't a shock, thankfully, so that they can make more plans for how they want to move forward in their career and that sort of thing. But wow, like I said, this was budget air travel. They went out of business because of the increase in fuel. They've talked about, airlines and all other forms of travel increase. Price has gone up. So for black people who have to fly as a part of their business, especially if they're footing the bill, they don't work part of a big company that's going to be paying for that travel. Yikes. Now it's even more expensive. We talked about that. We talked about that with black bookstores. One of the books that we read questioned why they didn't have a black bookstore alliance so that these black entrepreneurs, hey, they could share information and talk about different ways that they're being sabotaged and all the rest of it. I said, man, that would be cost prohibitive then, cost prohibitive now. Now, substantially less so now, because he was talking like in the 70s, 80s. You could do it on Zoom, so we don't have to fly now. But I mean, if it's something where we got to go in person, yikes. That would be kind of pricey, especially not even now, but especially now, because it would be pricey. Like, you wouldn't dodge that nickel even if you drove. It would still be expensive to have to fill the tank up. So lots of different, just if Spirit Airlines went out of business, just basically their business model, and then the gas being the coup de grace, and they said so, their business executives. Man, if you are, and that's not a so-called minority-owned business, if you are a black-owned business, you are even more fragile, and that is the correct use of the F word, extra fragile to any sort of fluctuations in the market. Like, oh my God, fuel prices have spiked. We might be out of business. Yes, that's another way racists can get rid of us and our business at any time. Let's see. I did think the difference when they were talking about the State Department and those employees, because of the new Trump administration not being able to get promotions and maybe some of them having to retire early, some of those folks seemed exceptionally well trained, like with the numbers of different languages that they can speak and all of that. I suspect if they are so inclined, those white people at the State Department will be able to get another job. Now, I could be mistaken. They might even be in better position than the folks at Spirit. I could be wrong, but we shall see. They had the segment with Ayanna Coleman here in Washington State. That was why I was not enamored, but I felt it was mandatory I include that segment because it's right here in Washington State. She shouted out Pierce County specifically, shout Tacoma, Puyallup out in the great Pierce County, but Ayanna Coleman, black female, and she was talking about the racism that black females who work as public servants in Washington State experience. I did not know. Now, even I will say that report, it's titled, you can check it out, the Seattle Medium. I think I already shared it on social media, but it's Washington State Report Details Workplace Harm Against Black Women. That's the full title of the report, and then they go into the specific details about all the different ways that racism manifests for black females in the workplace in Washington State. I thought there were a number of times in that interview with Mr. Bennett where it seemed to deviate away from black females and more of the women. And I've said consistently, when they start talking about women, they generally mean white women. And then, everybody else, maybe. That I thought was very important. She continued, Ms. Coleman, where she said when she speaks with black people in Washington State, and they talk about their experience with public servants, it's a mix. She talks to some people who, hey, I was not treated with care. I was not treated in a courteous, professional manner. I started thinking like, dang, what has my experience been with public servants in Washington State? And I was thinking the same thing, like, yeah, I don't think I get treated with courtesy and professionalism on a consistent basis via the public servants. And I was thinking like, dang, I've even had to make reports and such, and gruffs and such, even about the police at times. Like, yeah, I do think we, or at least I, do not get high quality service from the public servants in Washington State. Now, I also started to think, now, are there lots of black females in these positions? I was going back and thinking through, and it's like, I guess it's some, but I mean, and then at particular positions, but like, really? There's tons of black females? I know certainly not at the police department. That's not overrun with black females. And the judges, you go to the courthouse with City Hall, that's not overrun with black females. Like, they must mean like social services and things like that. Like, I could see that. That's lower tier. You're not going to make as much money. I could see things like that. I need probably a listing of what are all parks and recreation. That's probably public service. I probably have to see a listing of all of the jobs that qualify for public service in Washington State and be like, oh, okay, this is where they've got the black females at. But anyway, she was talking about the different ways that they experience racism in the job. One that I was fascinated with, I don't know if they had time where she could have given more detail or an example maybe that would have been, I just would have appreciated, so I would have had a better grasp. She was asked, or she was given her response, she said that sometimes there will be black females and they will experience harm, racism in the workplace. It will be a violation of policy. I thought that was important because she said that specifically. It will be a violation of policy, but white people in charge, there will not be punishment, a resolution to, one, stop this behavior from happening, and then two, there was a violation of policy. There should be something, even if it is, a verbal warning. This conduct is a violation of policy and procedure. Please see to it that it ceases immediately, right? Like that sort of thing. Like, give us an example. What sort of situation occurs with black females specifically, and even the policy? Like, certainly you can keep anonymity for everyone. You don't have to identify a specific company, but give us the type of situation where there is a specific policy violation, but management is unwilling to do anything to remedy this problem, stop the misbehavior. Like, give us an example. Like, that's one I would like. Is it something being said? Is it racist jokes? Like, just if they had maybe an extra 60 seconds, like bang, like that one right there, because like it would seem. That seems, at least to me, like very, very flagrant racism. If employee, and I mean, that's what this whole broadcast is about, but I'm just highlighting, if employees are able to clearly violate policy and procedure and nothing is done about that, like, wow, I would want a record of that. Like a long running record of that. Like, why is policy and procedure being violated, but nothing can be done about that? Why is that? Because they don't, it's been my experience, they don't let me violate policy and procedure, especially not when it bothers somebody. Like, oh man, you got the double whammy, because sometimes they will make you address behaviors even if it is not a violation of policy and procedure, just because it bothers someone. It can't be both. You're bothering somebody and you're violating procedure, and like, why is that? That's what I said. Give me the example, Ms. Coleman. Give me the examples. And I'm not doubting her. I just would like more information. Like, yeah, that way we can think about that, and maybe there are different ways that could be attacked or what have you. But I mean, that seems very glaring to me as an example of the system of white supremacy. Policy violated, ho hum. Let's see. Oh man, she said, based on the survey conducted here in Washington State, that out of the many, many individuals, black females in this report specifically, who report, oh yeah, widespread racism, and we get it all the time, apparently, from the patrons and our coworkers, but they said only about half of them report. Very important. Now, number one, what we just heard, that's a big part of why people don't report. You report policy and procedure is being violated, and I don't really find this attractive, and they allow the behavior to continue. That right there would discourage you from making future reports, generally speaking. I say it is very important to make these reports, even if they don't do anything about it. That does put you in a better position if you have a litany of like I said, particularly if these are violations of policy and procedure and nothing can be done about this. Oh man, that we might be working with a violation of the Constitution at that point, where you are not having equal protection under the law and due process. Really, like, wow, why is it that some people can break all these rules and nothing is done about it? And then if I break rules and procedures, I get written up, maybe fired. What's going on here? Constitutional violation? That's what said. I would continue to make those reports. That does put you in a better position. And particularly depending on the nature of the reports, when I heard that, I immediately remembered the victim where they did not compensate him correctly. I think he was due, I'm going to shoot large, aim big, where he said he was due like $50,000 for his bonus, and they put the incorrect name on the check. Now, it could have just been a clerical error. That happens. And he said, oh man, I don't, they intimidate us. They have a system of terrorism. But our victim here, he said, oh man, I'm not even going to go and say anything about it. I got plenty of money, and I'm upset these white people going there and, all this. Man, broke, no count Gus T. I wouldn't care if it was a check for 30 cents. Like, man, I'm going to have to go in here and get my quarter nickel. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm going to need that quarter. And the nickel. Don't forget the nickel. I'm going to need all that. Yeah, you didn't put Leroy on this check, and it's Gus T. So we're going to have to get that. Yeah, Lord, I'm going to need every 30 cent. If you have to give it to me in all pennies, give it to me in all pennies. I've never been in position to say that as, worthless Negro myself. But I said, you have to say something. You have to say something. Certainly, as she said, there is some thinking that has to, I might say too much and they might fire me. Absolutely. I might say something and they may not do anything about it. I think we had the young lady where she talked about the white man that she worked with. he was like flirting with her and leaving notes on her desk and all this old nonsense, like really, creep Epstein type behavior. And she requested to just get a transfer and go work in a different location, move my office. I think she even asked to move her office back to where she had worked at originally. This wasn't like, some sort of really radical, asking for too much type thing. And they declined her. And I think she might have even been looking for a different post too, but we were thinking this might have been that this race soldier who is sexually interested in her, he may have interfered, sabotaged her being able to progress in her career and get away from him. We had talked about that, and it's been a number of times where it's been problems, and she reported things and tried to alleviate the situation. He's like, oh, no, you can't move your office. Oh, no, I'm going to interfere and see that you can't get no new position. And I even asked her at one point, I said, man, do you think it was a bad decision to make a report about all of this? And she said, nope, even though I didn't, get the position that I wanted, and that is frustrating, but nope, I still, would have made the report, trying to do the correct thing, trying to get the problem solved. I think it's very important. I think racists, a lot of times they do these things. And even I remember the great Walter Beach, the third teammate of the great Jim Brown on the Cleveland Browns, not named for Jim. But he said, cut it at the knees for some of and even that might not even that you have to go to HR per se, but for some of these abuses, racist attacks in the workplace, even if it's just saying something to the direct racist who's doing the abusing, some of these need to be cut at the knees immediately. And that's the counter-racist logic, the counter-racist calculus of, for some of these, no. The best thing is to not just let it slide, no drama, not gonna say nothing. No, for some of these, the best course is immediately, I'm going to say something. I'm going to document immediately to get this shut down so that we don't pile up a whole year's worth of antics and racist conduct and racist jokes and God knows what else. Let's see. She talked about the credentials, Miss Ayanna Coleman, black female here in Washington State, Pierce County. She talked about both her personal credentials and being qualified, and then in general, that being a part of the racism and saying, oh, you're a DEI hire. That's what they said about that's what President Trump was suggesting about Kamala Harris. She's DEI hire type of a thing. Again, I would not waste a millisecond on what are your credentials, how did you get this job, do you know somebody, did Obama get you this job? I would not waste a millisecond with a white person or a non-white person. With the numbers of white people who get job, President Bush, which one you want to pick, W, HW, which one you want to pick? The numbers of white people where they get hookups and jobs and all of this on the part of their grandfather and grandmother and auntie and uncle, and my auntie owned the company, or my dad owned the company, or my dad went to kindergarten with your dad, and all this old nonsense. And in colleges, not just the jobs, where they get in college and all this old nonsense, and been doing that for, I don't know, it hurt my head to think how many generations that they've been doing that. The audacity to turn around and, oh, you got in here because you're Negro. Are you, hey, even if that is true, so what? You all done had generations of you got here just because you're white. You can't even type. I would not waste 30 seconds trying to justify my resume. Are you qualified? Are you out of your bell curve mind? No, I'm good on all of that. Let's just proceed. If I need to be trained on anything, let's get to it. But I'm as qualified as anyone here to have this job. Now let's proceed. They talked about the people not knowing, that was said a few times in that segment with Miss Coleman in the context of this survey about black female and black female employees in Washington State and the racism that they experience. And she said, a lot of times I come to these meetings and I'm coming to advocate for black people and non-white people, work against racism. She says, I go to these executive meetings and I'll be the only non-white person there. No surprise. But she talked about how draining that is and all of that. Absolutely. And she said that, I come and I have data and I'm qualified again. And I'll tell them about my experiences, or I'll tell them about data of racism and what happens to black people. And they don't come with that experience and they don't know. That is not the issue. And at least in my view, I think that can contribute to frustration when you take the position that these white people don't know. And I'm trying to educate them. No, they're dedicated to white supremacy racism. Frequently, they are very informed. It is not a problem that we did not know that the Negroes are being mistreated. They had better be mistreated. In fact, how did you even get here? It's really like, what are you doing here? You see, you're the only one. That ain't no coinky-dink. Especially you're going to be in here talking about all this and, the nigger peoples of Pacific Northwest aren't treated correctly. Like, man, we didn't, Lord Jesus, we make sure we ain't going to have no more of you. Better believe that. They said it would be peace in a system if they could get those who do not understand, folks who do not understand. Didn't say white people. I thought that was important too. Didn't say white people, although I could see the danger of being here and being too explicit about things. So you might have to be veiled and indirect. But she said, Miss Coleman, that what would it be like? She was asked, what would it be like if black females were heard and listened to in the workplace? And she said it would be peace. And said, man, you cannot have peace in a system of white supremacy racism. It's not equivalent at all. It's not even possible. We have to get rid of the system of racism, and then we can have that peaceful, tranquil work environment. But until then, it is absolute warfare. And I mean, that was the context of her whole conversation, just talking about all the different ways that she has experienced this in her career and how she tries to work against it and the resistance to the work that she does. And they got this whole massive report, and even the context. All these black females across the country and federal employees losing employment. Can't bring up nothing about DEI and all that. Even when she mentioned that for Washington State being an environment, a state where DEI is affirmed, I said, that is so slick. That is very different in saying that we affirm DEI as opposed to we affirm the belief and the work of replacing white supremacy with justice. That's different. Even if they forget all that, that's too much. That's, not catchy enough. Say, hey, we affirm and are dedicated to the ideals of counter-racism. That is very different than we're about some DEI. Especially in Washington State. Does that just mean we got an inspector? Particularly, look here. I'm trying to do my dental appointment and other errands yesterday. And they had a talk at University of Washington. I said, I don't know if I'm going to go. I told that dental appointment thing trying to get done. I said, I'm going to see if I can go. It's late enough in the day. I'm going to go. I was so glad I go. Who was talking? So they were advertising about the previous book, Africa in Alabama, and it had Andrew Zimmerman on the cover. The talk was for Angela Elizabeth Zimmerman. My little pecan-sized brain computer, I'm so confused. And I said, well, Andrew, is this, maybe they're like a married couple. I said, oh, that's okay, because I've seen that before where they got the husband-wife duo and they write a project like, okay, I got it, Angela, Andrew, boom, boom, boom. But then I looked and it didn't look like it was co-authors on the book. It just said Andrew. And then the talk said Angela. And I said, what is, I'm confused. So I finally go and dig transgender. never figured that out so late. That's what they will be about here in good old Washington State. Transgender and LGBTQIA plus and all the rest of it. They'll get to the racism thing. We'll get to that when we get to it. And even when we get to it, it might be that, hey, white people are victims of racism too. So to me, that doesn't mean a whole lot of anything, especially in this. This is Washington State. They were one of the first places to get rid of affirmative action at their university. So you don't even have a whole lot of black boys and girls at the university. That would contribute at least to the dude part of it as to why you do not have black males in their survey grousing about the racist treatment that they get as government employees and servants of the public here in Washington State. Anyway, they've been out, did away with affirmative action at their colleges and such here, like decades up before, way before I even got here. They tossed all that stuff like, we don't want no Gus T's at our flagship institutions. Go Huskies. Let's see. They had speaking of they had the segment in Georgia, opposite part of the continent. Elena Foster, they said she was, I think, the first and one of the only black employees who was hired in Eccles County, Georgia. I looked because she was talking about the lack of black educators in Eccles County, Georgia. This is a very tiny place. Eccles County is less than 4,000, their population, and their black population is less than 8%. White population is over 83%. Now, the data says it was never officially a sundown town, but that is... Anyway, she said that, or we were told in the report that if you messed around and the white employees, they fraternized with Miss Foster as a teacher, oh, you gonna get it. I said, white people didn't see, that goes what I just said. White people are not ignorant about racism. The problem is not that these white people are uninformed or that they don't know. That's not it at all. This is, years later. This is not no ancient history she's telling us about, Miss Foster. And she said they were told, the white, they don't be messing around with old Elena. You gonna get it. You won't keep your job, don't you? Don't be messing around with old, come on. And these are presumably because we've been told forever that most of the educators, white women. That's why I also scoff at that. Women, no man. White women are not in this with us at all. Not even the transgender ones. Like, no, and no. But she said that they were told they would be punished for messing around with her. And then she said that her husband, James, he was going to run for office, and they got a tombstone and put it in their yard. Nobody punished. I said, dang, don't that seem like terrorism? Like, good Lord. You going to put a tombstone in somebody's property on their porch or what have you? Because political terrorism at that. That's like the red shirts and the Klan, and we're going to kill that Obeezy and all the rest of it, right? Got to shut down the correspondence dinner. Like, good gosh. They ain't even do nothing about it. I noted as well with Miss Foster, they said she had, I lost count, but I think it was like 4 different settlements from the school for all of their racist conduct towards she and just in general. And it was so bad. They were supposed to have all these stipulations and take all these efforts to make sure, okay, we're going to do right and we're going to hire some more black educators, and that's important. We got more dark children coming, which is fascinating to me that they said they got more non-white students coming through the system in Eccles County, Georgia, because I just told you the U.S. Census says Eccles County is over 80% white and less than 8% black. But they said they got a growing population of it. If that is true, to me, that would just, more evidence. White genetic annihilation could be legit. Serious problem. But they said in one of the settlements they're supposed to be hiring more black educators and all that, and they're not even doing that. Even though apparently they got more dark children coming through. Said, we don't want no more Elena Fosters. We don't want no more. Didn't want the one we had. Get on out of here. Wow. That's dedication. See? And you're not ignorant. You went before a judge and they told you, I presume, put it in writing what you needed to do to correct your hiring standards. Didn't want to do. You can't say you're ignorant. That's the wrong word. Dedicated to white supremacy racism. Now we got a correct understanding of why these things keep happening. And it's 2026 and we talking about we don't want to hire no black teachers. And I already told you about the workplace violence. Let's see. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Again, if we have any folks, if you have violence in the workplace, the threat of violence in the workplace, conflict with another black person in the workplace, let us know. Hopefully we can figure out some tips to try to diffuse, minimize that conflict so that everyone can stay employed and then no bloodshed in the work area. If we have folks who have any other tips that would be beneficial for non-white people, let us know. And or if you have your own situation that you're dealing with on the job, let us know. We will do our best, see if we can use logic, help solve problems without creating new problems. Let's see, folks who dialed in, double check, make sure I open the email, my bulk email, untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. Get to our emails as well. I will rewind just for last week. We had a caller. In fact, we had several folks who called in, talked about managing people classified as white and the myriad of problems that they experience managing someone classified as white. We even had some people who were managing black people and still having trouble. But we talked about that or managing a white person towards the end of last week. I gave out some of my suggestions, emphasized documenting, and especially if you manage someone classified as white and they've made some sort of accusation that you are hostile, you call them names, anything less than professional and courteous. I'd said last week, you want a witness. And I think Mr. Fuller is one of the first people that I heard give this as a workplace recommendation, just having a totally neutral observer in certain situations. This would be one where they are not there to take sides. They are not there to offer a judgment. They are just there to listen. So we don't have no, well, I didn't say this and you called me a no count and flip-florin and filth-florin, blah, 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 and all this, and you just have the witness with that. Well, wait a minute. Now, I was there. I'm not making a judgment on nothing, but I do know there was no profanity because I would have, said something about all that, but there was no profanity. Nobody did any cursing. It was a civil meeting. I sat through the whole boring thing. That's all you want them to do. Just sit there. Don't talk. Don't take any sides. Just observe. Neutral third party so we don't have any sort of, he did this or she did this or she called me this. That is a great suggestion, especially once there's been this type of, allegation. You impugn me and did all these things to me. So the person who shared this last week, privileged black male, specifically about having to supervise a person classified as white and them being falsely accused, the black person being falsely accused, and all the rest of it, particularly when they attempted to point out errors the person classified as white made. Okay. I shared some of this with the bot. They had pretty good suggestions. I thought it may have just been that they seemed similar to some of the suggestions that we shared about this last week. But I'm going back and just in case any other folks are in that position where you're classified as black and or not white, but you supervise someone who is white, and they may come with some, accusations, charges against you. False. Bot shares. Oh, and in this situation, thankfully, the black manager had written documentation about what he shared with the white subordinate in terms of these are the errors that we're looking to address, and this is, what's important to get, or in terms of the writing or how this is supposed to be constructed for this position. And so management reviewed his written reports to this subordinate white employee, and management concluded there was nothing hostile, unprofessional in the tone. It was professional. It was pointing out errors that needed to be addressed. No problem at all, which massive win when you get support from your superiors. That happened here. So continuing. Since your manager requested that you meet with him, treat this as a formal performance touch point, not a personal reconciliation. This was the black manager, his manager, recommending that he meet with his white subordinate. Bring the receipts. Have the specific work errors you corrected printed out. If he claims you were disrespectful, pivot immediately to the work. I noticed your feedback was about my tone. However, the purpose of my communication was to address these specific errors in your work. Let's focus on the technical requirements. Love that one. Not impugning anybody's character. We just want to get these errors corrected. That's all. Neutralize the tone argument. Use the broken record technique. If he says he felt disrespected, respond with, my goal is professional efficiency. Since executive leadership reviewed my emails and found them professional, I'm confident in our communication channel. How can we ensure the work errors are corrected moving forward? Love that one as well, because we're just pulling it back. We're just trying to get these errors corrected, and even in a helpful stance. What can we do to make sure that we get these errors corrected? We don't want to have to be, talking about this, wasting time on this every day or every week. Witness protocol. Had a big smile because we talked about this last week. Again, the great Neely Fuller Jr. He is the first person that I heard make this as a suggestion for the workplace. Since he has already shown a willingness to lie to upper management, never, and the bot actually wrote that in all bold face print, never meet with him behind closed doors again if possible. For the upcoming site visit, ask your manager if a neutral third party like HR or a peer lead can sit in to ensure clear communication for the new team alignment. That I think is phenomenal, and particularly, like I said, any sort of false charge has come up, you did this, you said that, anything like that. Third party neutral witness, or third parties, multiple people. Like I said, they don't have to say anything, do anything, just hang out. Recording can work, but a person is better. Both the best. Recording can work though, especially I guess this day and date, because you could have video of the whole meeting, so everybody could review this, put it on YouTube for the next 20 years or what have you. But try to have a person if you can. Strategic documentation. You're already being monitored, so your documentation must be superior to his, the race soldier. Post-meeting summaries. I had a big smile because we shared this one too. Within an hour of your face-to-face, send an email to him and CC your manager. Per our discussion today, we clarified that communication will remain focused on Project X and that you will follow the guidelines established in our previous meeting with the senior employee. We talked about this one last week. I even said for some people, hey, if you are really tech savvy and you have your phone with you at all times anyway, you can go ahead. If you're talking to, Bob, whatever guy's name is, you're talking to him about resolving these errors and all that, right as the conversation is wrapping up. You've been kind of taking notes and highlighting like, okay, we're going to do this. Project is due this day. You're going to resolve the errors like this. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say you went over those 3 points. Man, as we are wrapping up that meeting, I am literally sending an email to Bob, and it'll have bullet points of per our meeting today. These were the 3 main themes or, goals, projects, whatever it is. Date, this is what we agreed to. Boom, boom, boom. Date, time, bam. They already got it, and you can CC whomever in that email so that as you're walking out of their office, they've already got the follow-up email. And that's, I think you said last week, especially for someone, if they're going to accuse you, you are surly and you cursed me and you're nasty and all the rest of it. Hey, if my email, I'm sending it as the meeting is wrapping up and I'm not cursing, huffing, I'm just calmly, methodically going over these. So the deadlines that we spoke about and what we're going to resolve, ain't no cursing and filth flooring, none of that. Seems pretty businesslike and professional. That looks great for you. That really he was cursing and doing all that and then stopped and was calm enough to send a professional email that doesn't have any, profanity and filthy language, anything like that? Really? That's why I'm a big advocate. And he says an hour, that certainly works too. I'm just giving that as an option for the folks who, if you're really tech savvy and you text all day long anyway, and you keep your phone battery, you keep your phone charged and you keep it on your person at all times, hey, this is one of those where you can go ahead and fire that email off immediately. You could even have the email ready, drafted. All you have to do is press send because you know what you're going to talk about in the meeting. You can add, if you need to add a sentence or anything like that, and then as soon as the meeting's up, bam, send. I'm walking out the door and you can let him know. Email's going to come. It'll have bullet points of what we discussed today, deadlines, all that pertinent information will be in the email just to confirm what we talked about. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bam. Love that one. Covers your behind. Let's see. Quantify the insubordination. Don't just record that he was difficult. Record the impact on the business. Example, employee refused to implement corrections, resulting in a 2-hour delay. I love that one. The specifics. If this employee is not making corrections and we have to waste time and do these meetings and go back and do all that, document. And I love the documenting. How much time, money did we waste because he would not make these corrections that he's already been told about? Monitor the chain of command bypass. He went to your manager's manager. This is a direct attempt to leapfrog your authority. Keep a log of every time he bypasses you to speak to someone higher up. Managing up. Your manager, the privileged black male you mentioned, has supported you so far, but his request for you to meet with the employee in person is a test of your leadership. Brief your manager before the trip. Tell your manager, I appreciate you vindicating my professional communication. I'm going to meet with him to reiterate work standards. My concern is that he is using feelings to mask his inability to meet the technical standards of the role. I'll provide you a summary afterward. Love that one as well, just to communicate with your manager. You're doing what was asked, but just concerns about, hey man, this person is not really trying to do the necessary work here. This isn't about feelings or being nasty or crude. It's just, hey, this is the job. As even we said last week, the position calls for work to be done in a specific manner. And he's resistant to doing that work correctly. This isn't even me calling him out. It's just the position calls for specific work. Are you going to do the specific work? Yay or nay? Love it. Love it. It's not personal at all. Frame it as a return on investment issue. I love that one too. Shift the narrative from a clash of personalities to a performance issue. It is harder for a race soldier to sabotage you if the data shows that they are the ones failing to produce quality work. Now, in theory, that does sound good, but generally, white people are allowed to be as shiftless as they want to be. So you can't exactly expect for white people to do the correct thing on that one, but I absolutely love the framing return on investment. We're just trying to get things done. Let's do the work in the correct manner. And so we don't have to keep wasting time doing things over, getting it corrected, having these sort of meetings. Let's not waste time. Time is money. That's what they say. Anyway, those were the bot suggestions per the black male with a accusatory white subordinate who seems like he might be in. See, that's what I mean too. Why am I, if this white person works at my company, or even if I'm supervising this white person and you can't even do your work correctly, why am I going to sit here and I got to go and explain my credentials and why I'm qualified to have this position? To you? To anybody, really? Why? Why would I even feel any type of way about, maybe I didn't deserve this. Maybe I'm not. Maybe there's a more qualified white man. Who? This white guy who can't even do the job at his own current level? Come on. No. All of that is racism. I'm a massive, even if you do get a job where you're not, if you lucked into it, you got a cousin or something that was on the hiring group or what have you, or a relative or something like that, or you married into it or whatever, however you got fortunate about it. If you ended up getting the job that way, kudos to you. Even then, I would not feel bad about it. I can't believe it. That is all some nonsense. I'm a DEI hired. Forget all of that. White people get more. White people have stolen more stuff from black people, like whole companies and things from black people. Like, please, even if you did get the most crony hire ever, even then, I would not waste 30 seconds. Talk, well, I did work kind of hard and I got a little bit of it. Whatever. Let us move forward, and don't put your feet up on the desk in my office. Make sure you come by my nice office with that gold-plated name on the front. Shiny Gus T. That's me. Get on out of the DEI, please. Anyway, that is from but like I said, not always, but sometimes they do have logical, solid suggestions with regards to the workplace. Sometimes you can, even get a few tips there that you can incorporate into your setting, perhaps. Let's see. Other folks, they have commentary. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. And then we'll get in email number 1. Let's see. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. Harry still hasn't responded to my email request for specific issues around my leadership of the handover of the project to right-wing Ashley and Amina, and I have not signed off that I agree with his performance feedback. Tristan returned this week after 2 months leave to spend time with his wife and son, who turned a year. Well, bravo for him. He was born with a heart defect, so took 3 months leave around the time of his birth. He was due to return on Monday, but didn't return until Wednesday as his grandmother is unwell. I don't begrudge him taking time off to care for his family, but I don't think a non-white person would get the same level of indulgence. Probably not. 3 months, and I'm the same. Hey, if you have a child, even if you have a totally healthy child with no problems, whoopee, go sit at home and be a parent. Right on. That's as things should be, maybe would be in a just world, but white people do not care about children, so that's not what we have. But yeah, I don't begrudge him that, but absolutely, I think the vast majority of non-white people, especially if they're classified as black, no way. We might not even let the mom off for the actual labor. better mop this floor and mop up any other water you spilled while you labor. Let's see. She continued. We caught up today, and he acknowledged that I will no longer be working on the project. Yes, it will stay with his team rather than Phoebe's team, which is in part because right-wing Ashley leaving. Her notice period has been extended to the end of May, which I assume is to allow time for the new people to get up to speed. She's leaving? Did she tell us she's leaving? Like, what? Dang. Like, quitting? Going to take a new job? Dang, I totally did not. That is, wow. We went through all this rigmarole, and her line and neurodiversity, and we're going to, switch off the team. And, oh, no, I'm going to stay on the team. Oh, no, I'm going to switch off the team. Oh, no, I'm going to need you to get back on the team. We went through all of this. But now you to leave the team. Well, nah, I'm just going to go and get me another job. I'm going to go on and let it go. It's been fun, y'all, but this ain't for me. What? That is so tacky. And that's why I said it's so many reasons. So for right-wing Ashley, I'm going to go and get my credentials. I'm going to go and show, my transcript, my test scores, my high school grade point at, like, what? What? For you? You can... I'm not saying white people are ignorant. I'm not saying white people are stupid. But in terms of the workplace, there are way too many illustrations around the world of white people who are not qualified to have their job, maybe not even qualified to have their career. And I'm supposed to sit here and defend, like, even if I was a DEI hire, whatever that means. Please, you all have sat here and done this and worse for like centuries. If it turns around the other way for once, please, I'm at least trying to see if I can learn something so that in a little while I will be qualified to have this job, like, for reals. She continues. So I can't believe that. Did she tell us that? And I'm tripping, like, that right-wing Ashley is leaving. She submitted her notice. That's crazy to me. He asked if I spoke with Amina before she left. I said no. He then said he was surprised that she left, as he thought she was happy. Amina left too? Wait, what? Time out. When did all these people, everybody just quit in the last month? What is going on? Did they all blame you? Because I'm so behind, apparently. Did they all go to the exit interview? And, there's a black sister over there, she got on our nerves and just didn't think we were going to be able to coexist in the same office. So I'm going to go ahead and ban. Like, dang, that is stunning to me, though. I did not know that they all just, at the same time, too. Like, wow, that is we will condemn. Let me know if am I tripping? Like, you all knew this, these people that resigned, and I just had not paying attention. Continuing, Amina leaving too. Okay, thought she was happy. He's already checked in with Harry, and Amina is still in the same department, just a different division. So if Tristan really wants to know, he can ask her directly. Well, I guess she didn't go that far, but still, like, wow. Okay. I'm sure she sent him an email. I told him that Amina told me she wanted experience line managing staff, which the new role offers. But Keisha, who is her line manager, as he knows, may know more. What this is really about is the fact that I did not go to her leaving lunch. Oh, they will get you on that, boy. We supposed to go out and get the chitlins and giblets and country ham biscuits, and you didn't want to come and get no biscuits, and they'll gossip about you for a good 6 months on that one, like, for real. Like they have any of those going away banquets and somebody baked a cake or cupcakes or things like that. Oh, they get an attitude. That's one I would just encourage. Just know that in advance. I'm not saying to go or not go, especially if it's something where you got to, like, leave the facility. Like, it seems like this might have been, you got to get in the vehicle, hop on the subway or something. Like, I'm good. And who even knows what we're going to eat after we do all this. But yeah, I'm good. But just, I would anticipate like, I am going to be persona non nigra for like the next 7 months around here. Hopefully it won't last that long, but they're going to be giving me the side eye and not that they would have been nice and courteous to you if you had attended, but just now we got just She continues, so they mad at her for not going to the lunch, would not sign her card or say one word to her before she left the team. Good riddance. Would I do this ordinarily? No. But according to Harry, she and right-wing Ashley made several false allegations, which I was able to evidence are untrue. Those claims were made directly to Harry and Phoebe, not me. So why would I have anything more to say to her? And, notably, Tristan didn't mention their false claims. Dealing with a child that has a heart defect must be stressful and cause non-stop worry. And my instinct is to have compassion for Tristan at times, human. Then I quickly remind myself that having a sick child hasn't stopped him from practicing racism and colluding with other racists. And he intentionally did not sign off my leave last Christmas. I do remember that, because she was contemplating like, man, I might have to cancel my leave because they'll try and fire me for this one and say that I'm insubordinate and she took time off without authorization, insubordinate. Remember, she was going to cancel. And then he said, oh, no, you already put your leave in and you go ahead and take it and we'll figure out the paperwork later and, you have a great holiday. And that was so tacky and that was another one that I thought, I bet this is deliberate. And I mean, yeah, that's terrible. Having, a child that, has any sort of health issues and all that. Don't wish that on anyone, but hey, that ain't no justification with you being trifling about my vacation leave, which she had submitted like weeks, dare I say, months in advance. Don't get no better than tacky. If not speaking with the lying Amina is the new narrative around why I need to reflect on my handover of the project, they can go to hell. Take that. That's where I say for sure, I'm not on the kick it. Let's just keep it professional. You don't need to go and do lunches and dinners and banquets and them old cards. I said for sure, like a year, I said before, I'm broke. I do not have, if they cheat me out of my check, put the wrong name on it, my stance, because I'm broke, cannot be, well, I'll get it next year, and I got enough nickels, and it's not that important. No way. I take the exact same broke logic when they come around. Oh, man, we got the card, because normally they don't do no naked cards. They'll be, hey, you got, $20 or $50. We're going to try and get her, a gift card, or sometimes I think one they say, we're going to try and get her a gym membership. She said she wanted to get in shape and get right for the summertime, so we're going to all pitch in and see if we can get her a gym membership. But I think, what? I don't have a gym membership. I wouldn't care if you do it or not. I don't have a gym membership. I can't afford to do all that. I'm barely making it myself. That's what I would say without hesitation, because it is true. If you are a victim of white supremacy, you are barely making it yourself. And white people can show you better than I can tell you. I would not feel now, if they're doing the naked card and you don't have to give up no blood or money and all the rest of it, they just want you to, sign it and say something cute. I don't have no problem with no on that, especially context like this. We're not friends. We didn't kick it. She's not in real talk. If she was just going out for a personal lunch, she would not invite me. So no. And you don't have to be spiteful and nasty about it. Just, oh, no, thank you. I'm sure she's got, her homies and friends and sign it. I don't even do all that stuff. But yeah, we'll wish her the best. And it's been great working with her. All that. Thank you kindly. Less says more. You don't even need to say all that, but just, oh, no, thank you. It's fine. Thank you, though. I wish her the best. That would suffice. You sure you know? Oh, no, I wouldn't even know what to say. I wish her the best, though. I'm sure I'll see her before she leaves. Maybe not. But I wouldn't feel bad about that even if it was another non-white person, and I think Amina is a non-white person, but yeah, I would not feel no outlet. This is not school. We're probably not even friends. Deuces will suffice. Right-wing Ashley will exit soon, but there's been other changes in the department, which means Harry's division has grown, and work-avoidant Wanda, who recruited right-wing Ashley, is back. Oh no! What was her first contribution at this week's division meeting? Does the division have a social committee? See, all that old foolishness. That's the sort of thing, if we're not behind and lawyers aren't contacting us left and right, you messed this up. You didn't do this correctly. You're going to have to go back and file this. If we didn't have all that, totally different. And even still, we are at work. I know this. If these were non-white people, I'd be saying, hey, man, let's be codified. We do not need no social committee, and you don't need to be on it. We don't need an entertainment committee, social committee, the promotion committee. You can put me on that one immediately. The raise committee, you can put me on that one immediately. New training committee, you can put me on that one immediately. The social committee, that sounds like I'm going to be coordinating these old lunch activities and all the rest of it that I just skipped out on. No, I don't need that. No, I'm good. we don't need it. That doesn't sound constructive. That sounds like we'd be wasting some time. And white people do a lot. That's why I said, how many do you need? Now she's coming back to the team and work avoidant Wanda. She's coming back to the team. What's she trying to do to get caught up on? Hey, y'all got any happy hour social club type teams I can join? Why would I take 5 seconds to go and justify to work avoidant Wanda? I'm qualified to have this position. You know I ain't no DEI hire now. What? That doesn't even, and even the kicker is the people that you're going to prove this to are racist suspects. How do I, as a Negro, prove to a racist that I'm qualified? You see what I'm saying? Much obliged for the email. The address untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Give folks maybe 5 minutes or so, see if they have other thoughts, observations to share their workplace situation. Again, now, we have black people. If you're having conflict with black people in the workplace, see if we have a thought or two, suggestion to minimize conflict, period, especially with black people in the workplace. But if folks have any thoughts, suggestions, help solve problems without creating new problems in the workplace, let us know. If you have any tips for getting out of those lame cards and all the other fake activities that they do when an employee, when they retire or when they're going to leave and just go to a new job, something like that, please share. Always need tips on that one, because sometimes those festivities can get really out of hand and end up being like a week's worth of events. You know, they have on-site activities, and then we got to go somewhere and meet up and all this craziness. If you have tips on avoiding all of that madness without it causing conflict, let us know. 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. I guess if we have any entrepreneurs or black people who work, period, and the Spirit Airlines closure is going to impact the way that you do work, you can share that via call or write in as well. That would be, that would be significant. If, that will impact your travel plans and how you operate for business travel. Let us see. Our educator, Black Bay Area Mom, said Black Area Mom, which would be true too, but Bay Area Mom, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
Greetings to you. Thank you for taking my call. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to comment on the when you spoke on, it was you. I think you read an email about someone who had white people up under them, and they were in a position, a supervisor position. I asked someone, because I don't have that in my little low ranks, but I asked someone who does, and they told me that what they do is they stay professional. They don't get excited, but they can tell that they're kind of rejecting their authority or rejecting what they're saying or maybe overriding it or going over them. What she said was she always keeps it professional. And she listens first, so she'll stop and think before, stop and think and then respond per the policy always. And if they don't want to do it, that's fine too. They just do it, but not a lot, just enough. And then that person kind of follows along. Or they'll leave and find another job, but not without causing a stir. So there usually is a lot of, for example, this person kind of like takes a lot of food. If there's food around, they'll just take all the food, pack it up, put it in their car, go get more food, put it in their car, that kind of stuff, because it's I'm taking away from you kind of attitude. So you can't have all this. Oh, all of this, not for you. I'm taking this too. Even if I don't need it, I'm going to take it anyway. I'm going to go over you. I'm going to say report to HR over you because you make me feel sad. That kind of response. So that's what they say. They stay within the policy, so it's not like I'm as if I'm yelling or screaming at you or disrespecting you. This is the job. This is what it is. This is what, and this is why. Maybe if you do this, this will work. If not, that's fine too. So I just wanted to share that real quick. Workplace racism for me. I talk about this little girl. This little girl, when I first started working at the school that I work at, the principal would always have a soft spot for this particular girl. It's the male principal. He's not there any longer. His whole thing was making sure the space was a safe place for this particular child. Not just her, but in particularly her, because of her issues, her life, how it's played out for her little 9-year-old self. Just only 9 years old. Only 9. A lady came up to the gate fussing about this little girl. I was outside with another child, and she was fussing about a little girl. She's a parent, so she's fussing about this little girl. And I don't fuss about her too much. I know she's a handful or a lot to deal with, but I don't fuss about her. I don't do too much fuss, especially outside space. So she's fussing about the little girl. And I fuss about her little son because he's something else, too. A lot of these children are a product of their environment in different ways. They're just not dealt with in a way that it will benefit the children later. So this little girl, she's fussing about the little girl, and yes, she's allowed to just run the streets at night. The dad even came over looking for her. It's like 9:30 at night. He's knocking on the door looking for her. She's letting him know she's not over here because he's asleep. So she's showing me pictures of this little girl, nude pictures of this little girl. She's 9. This little girl, because everybody has cell phones. She's sending him nude pictures and videos of her, like nude, like 9-year-old nude, as if it's like a Hustler magazine shot. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. And This was a couple of weeks ago when it happened. I'm just now seeing the video today. But you hear about it, even though, yeah, you hear about it. So it just circles around and circles around. Don't tell nobody, don't tell nobody. But it just goes all around. So I heard about it, but I didn't say anything about it. So the mom keeps coming up there because she wants to know what are you going to do. So they're saying, it's just a whole lot of back and forth. There's all the people called CPS and things like that, but even calling CPS, that's not going to, I don't see how. So even with the school, having CPS reports against her or on her and her parents, I just don't see how it's helping her calling CPS on her. It's me. And then with our school culture, the children are already watching porn, just already, because they had to send an email out during our spring break telling the parents, not telling them what's really going on, but just like, okay, watch out for your children, watch what your children are watching on the internet, check their internet, but not saying why. So they're already doing this in elementary school. Well, at this one, they're already watching porn, and them little pictures, there was a little porn. And I'm offended that I saw it. And I'm offended that there's no real resolution. So instead of sending her off, tomorrow was supposed to allegedly her last day at the school, and they were going to send her to another school, and then let her come back to graduate, and then send her back to the other school. But now they're just going to let her stay there until school is out, and then they can't just necessarily just kick her to the curb or just be done with her. They have to transition her. So they have to transition her to this new school, and they probably have to keep some kind of tab on her to make sure things are flowing. And then in order to even put her into a residential home, she has to kind of go to an MPS school. So, yeah, it's just so strange. And then, of course, we have a lot of, because everybody that's moving in and out of these positions are white. The blacks are moving out, the whites are moving in. We only have so many more years before we have to renew our charter. And I'm having a feeling that they're going to try to dig in our brains to see, they're going to dig in our brains just to see what we know, get information from us, and then utilize it, and then act as if they're the reason why the children are doing better, because we just came in and got these savages together, well, to the best of their ability. And that's it. One more thing. I forgot. That's not it. But I'll conclude one more thing. So I have one of my other children, the one that bit me. So his mom, he got out of the car with anger. I opened the door. His twin brother is crying. Just like, I'm like, come on, get out the car. He don't want to get out the car. I'm like, So I tell his brother, okay, climb over him. So they're fighting. He's fighting them in the car. So they just fight. The child on the spectrum runs the house. Everyone else has to just fall in line. The mom is walking on eggshells with the children, with him. The other child is displaying behaviors because he has to live in the house with this child, and then you kind of just fold to the child. So she doesn't know what to do. He's get out the car, about to run somewhere. I don't know where he was going. So I'm like, hey, get out of here. They get mad at me, and they come hitting on me. So his mom had to get out the car to kind of defuse it a bit, but not really. So he calmed down as we're talking, just in general, and she's sharing how hard it is for her with him and how frustrating it is and overwhelming. So I talked to the BCBA at our school, and it's not like a lot she could do, but I said she was basically like, you might need somebody that's close enough that she'll listen to that can help her. So I was like, oh, that sounds like me. So I'm willing to help her with him with my skills. But not like I have anything, but I'm willing to help her. And even last year, we went to the zoo. We did little stuff together. So I could kind of show her how I work with him and how I redirect him and how I make him stand by his word. Even tomorrow, he went to sleep today when I got back to him. But tomorrow he has to write a letter and apologize to his brother and his mom. He cussed her. She was like, okay, goodbye, such, have a good day. Shut the fuck up. Close your motherfucking mouth. Just a little boy. Sorry, excuse me, but this is exactly what he's doing. So I'm just like, well, she's just like, all right, have a good day. So I know her little feelings was hurt. So even when he speaks like that, I have to tell him, hey, you have to use nice words. And even when he gives you the fingers, he'll flip you off quickly. But, hey, nice fingers. So just versus me, hey, you don't talk to me like that. It's on the spectrum. It's not like a general ed child. So it's not a problem for me. And I am willing to do what I can do and even convince her to let in-home ADA come in a little bit, even if I have to be there as well. It's not a big deal for me, just to observe or however. I don't have a problem with that either, just to help her so she can have children that don't resent her, because the children that aren't on the spectrum will probably grow to resent her because of how she's handling it. And then I also told her, I don't have a problem because he's one of her kids, the oldest kid. He got one of the African American Scholar Awards because I asked her to send her child to another school, the school my son went to. And she did, and now he gets honors and it's such a better environment. So he's getting honored for being a scholar, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to leave early on Monday and be there, and just kind of go from there. So I just want to share that too, and get your thoughts on that. And sorry for all my buckets and buckets of words, and I hope you have a great evening. I will meet my line.
Well, that is bravo once again, Bay Area mom, counter-racist effort, par excellence. Is the reporting to CPS, Child Protective Services, for the listeners, for the young lady where I guess the indecent images or graphic images were being trafficked, they were contacting Child Protective Services about the images being sent to the child, and you were saying you weren't sure if that was going to be most helpful for her. Were they contacting CPS for the child or for the person sending the images to the child?
They were contacting CPS for the person, the child, that was sending the images to the child.
Okay, I got it.
But it's for against. It all goes against the father that has her. And sometimes they have even the child will call the police and CPS. But what the police did the last time she called was told them, the next time you call us, we're taking you.
Well, black male privilege. Man. I guess that could be another one for the wait as long as you can for the smartphones and all that stuff. Like, I feel like we hear that quite a bit with she said elementary school, so very small people having these devices and using them to send all kinds of graphic content. And I'm pretty certain if you are 10, I'm trying to think elementary school age, 8, 9, 7, you are probably not smart enough about that phone and whatever pictures you're taking to make sure that these images only end up where I want them to be. I seriously doubt that. And even, why does an elementary school child nude pictures? Not, hey, let's go we're in California in the summertime. Not, hey, we get the Golden Gate Bridge. We get the Bay Bridge. Get the Bay. Jim Jones. No. Nudes. Black culture. I did appreciate we got advice about black person supervising, even though I was a bit stymied. She said she went to ask black people who supervise, particularly we talk about supervising white people, but in a supervisory position, and you got staff who, recalcitrant, I'm not going to listen to you, and I do what I want to, all that. And she said, hey, they kept saying, stop and think. Stop and think. We're not going to be immediate response. What did you say? Stop and think. Stop it. Don't take it personal. We kept saying that a lot too. And we said that even if you supervise other black people, and they're the ones being rowdy and sabotaging and defiant and all the rest of it, don't take it personal. Stop. Think. I was stymied. I had to stop and do a lot of thinking because she said they have a black person who's a supervisor, I guess kind of more executive, maybe assistant principal, whatever, at the school, and they'll have food, and the staff like, whoa, you don't need all that food. I'm going to take all these, go pack them up and put them in the car. Like, what? What? I have never in my life heard of the manager or somebody, like if they brought us honey buns or cinnamon rolls or grapefruits and whoa. You don't need all them grapefruits, Leroy. I'm going to take it. And they go random up, put them in the car. What? And then she said, well, do it again. If they have, like, I can't even, don't take it personal. That is like, wow, like, are you taking food from other staff that could potentially be eating this? Like, what is, woof, man. Go to your, she said that some of the staff at the school, they will do the same thing. The black people that are in charge, they will go over their head and go talk to the other white people or whoever it is. They'll go talk to other folks. Standard operating procedure, because we've heard that the other black manager, he said the same thing. Black employees and the white employees, same thing. I don't have to listen to you. I know you're not in charge. To be expected, don't take it personal. And I would even document that as, being insubordinate, because most jobs you're supposed to talk to your direct supervisor, unless there's been an issue talking to them where you can't get this resolved, not you just immediately skip over top of them and go to report. The young fella that she is working with, who I guess all of the violence and what have you, I could easily see, some educators saying, I'm not even going to get involved with all of that, and that's on you all, and blah, blah, blah. Wow, to be involved and then to help, hey, you do not speak to your mother in that manner. Like, hey, we can pick different words. Like, wow, get some of that behavior corrected as soon as possible. I shudder because I think it seems like there may have been other educators. She talked about all the staff that they lost, especially black educators, to be replaced with all of these white, transgender, and anti-sex supporting staff and educators. Man, I could easily see a lot of those staff either not addressing any of that at all, or it would have been addressed in a very different manner. Just, wow, that unfortunately, that is kind of black culture, like all of it. What you say, that's how you start the academic day. That's how you start the academic day. You shut up. Now, who wants to go learn after all that? Come on. And that's black culture. Unfortunately, that's not all of us, but way too many. All of that modeled. Where would you even see all that? That's what's on TV. That's what you see around the other black people. Talking in that manner, behaving in that manner, using words like that. That's what I said about the nude pictures. Where would you even get an idea like that? Like, you don't have people that want to. It's lots of cool stuff. I took a lot of pictures while I was in the Bay Area as a resident and a visitor. They have beaches and everything, and it's summertime in flipping California. Go count the Tupac mural. Nah. Can you even spell nude? She talked about all these folks in elementary school that got poor reading comprehension. Can you even spell nudies? Come on. Come on. Playing around with sex. Man. We could do way better. Like light years better. Bravo for the recommendations for the mom, because I feel like so many of the educators that work there, she said they've been losing them left and right, and black brother that left out and just replacing them with all these suspected racists who do not care, or certainly they do not care about these non-white children who can't even read, many of them, shooting dice and nudies. But at least trying what she can from that. But imagine if they had bunches of Bay Area moms where they, all the staff is, hey, we are about helping these children. That's why we took this job. Help these children. I'm going to go above and beyond. Like, hey, extra services to help out this mom. I will do it. I will be right there. Even drop her a line and let her know, like, hey, my son really benefited from taking classes over here, and now her child is there and getting awards and all that. Like, wow. Above and beyond the call of duty. And again, that's the type of thing that, I'm not saying that every black staff member would do all that, because they certainly would not. But that is exactly what you lose. Black staff is no longer there. Now, we're not enthusiastic about getting you to not curse at your mom. Now we're not enthusiastic about getting you to stop with the nudes, stop eating all that bad food, see if we can be a little bit more courteous, use your words, do some learning. Now we're going to be enthusiastic about pride. That's why. Switch the staff. That's why she even said, she said it repeatedly. She said, man, the black male that quit, this was, I think, like March, April. She said, man, I tried to get it. Can you hang, please? I know they get on your nerves, and because they took Clarence Thomas' picture. We don't want no black dudes here. No way. We about what I said, we about the pride. See, we about the pride. And he took Clarence Thomas down. He's old, privileged, patriarchal, sexist black male anyway. His picture should have never been up, see. But he took him down. He said, that's the last straw. I can't take it no more. He said, man, we don't, you see, they took Clarence Thomas' picture down. Yes, that's exactly what they want. Exactly what they want. So you can get you out of here. Yes. And we got space for another anti-sex white woman. Yes. Transgender white woman. Yes. We'll have the biggest pride parade ever. Yes. That's what they want. And I know it's stressful. I'm not, it's stressful. I get it. But, man, it is a monumental difference when you can have someone like that, Bay Area mom, exposed to these children, willing to do all of that she shared about for years, and helping out the parents and children and all of that, as opposed to, like I said, we're going to be really excited about these rainbows. So we got to be so excited. Parade come in June, school closed. We'll move it to September so we don't miss out. We can't even spell rainbow, man. Where are the priorities? Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Man. Phew. Inspect the school. Can't say that. And check the nurses station. Would have never thought that till we had our guest last week. When you inspect the school, check the nurses station. Maybe even that's one. Hey, credentials. Where did you go to school? How long did you practice? How long have you been a nurse? Have you worked at other schools? You have complaints. Has a child died in your care? Like, that might be one you want to check. That I would have never thought that in my life until last week. I didn't even know that they had substitute nurses. That might be one. Let me see your qualifications. Nursing staff at the schools, very, very important. Have you been to the nurse's office at your school there? See if they got black nurse, white nurse at the school, Bay Area, Mom?
So the first nurse was a Filipino male, and he ended up not coming back the following year. The second nurse is a Spanish female, and it's not the school nurse. It's for particular kids with particular issues nurse. So they're not the nurse. Don't just go to the nurse office and thinking you can get a Band-Aid. The nurse is for one little girl with diabetes, a couple little kids with diabetes, and somebody with liver issues. So it's about 5, 6, 7 kids that have this particular nurse. So, no nurse like that. And we so-called, we'll put the nurse to work. So, hey, I need you to come into class. Help with the class, get the kids settled while you in there watching and checking the monitor for this diabetic child. So, there you go. Okay.
Well, that is, I have never heard of that one either. The nurse having to step in and be a part of the lesson plan or behavior modification. Wow, I just came to do the medication. Wow, that is extra. I did note she didn't say any black nurses. Not that, medical apartheid, no shock there. But wow, okay. And she said they had the first male nurse, and he left abruptly. I think 1 year, and deuces. No rapport with students. Maybe he didn't think it was best for his career, that environment. That is, man, check the nursing office at your child's school. I would have never thought that in my life. Again, hope your child never has to visit. They'll never see this person, so hopefully it won't matter. But check anyway, just in case. And even see what's the procedure. If the nurse gets sick, who takes her place for that day, or his place for that day? Just to see. The situation we heard about, it involved a substitute nurse. I didn't even know such a thing existed. Any hoodles, much obliged, Bay Area Mom. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Give folks like 5 minutes if they have additional thoughts, observations to share. We will be here Friday, tomorrow. This week I got thrown off with my timing. Cinco de Mayo. That's what, yeah. But I got thrown off. So Friday, tomorrow, we'll do Catherine Massey Book Club, 4th installment on Michelle Cowell Alexander's The New Jim Crow. We'll get to chapter 2 tomorrow. Have some important, I guess, what shall I call them? Differences between the 10th anniversary edition and the original version of the book that we are reading. In fact, the differences were so substantial. What I noted, this completely justifies why we're reading the 2010 version of the book. And most of the major criticisms of the book that I've had, the revisions to the 10th anniversary edition, they are so monumental. They confirmed a lot of what I have been saying in my critiques. But we'll get to that, some of the edits, and then moving forward in the text for tomorrow, Michelle Alexander. Just willfully deceitful work. And then our counter-racist weekly review on Saturday. Catch up on what has transpired over the past 7 days or so. System of white supremacy worldwide as we move into springtime official on the plantation, including record-setting heat here in Washington State. Gus T will also get in on the record. I've been doing my FOIA requests, Freedom of Information, for Dr. Welsing, Mr. Fuller. It has been informative, just learning all of this, and a little bit scary, tracking FBI and powerful white people, enforcement agencies. A little bit intimidating being lowly old privileged black male Gus T. I made submissions to local police departments as well, and thus far, none of the departments that I have made submissions to in different states, different time zones, none of them has said, we don't have any files. Some of the requests, their response, in fact, has been, your request, the phrasing, due to the unusual nature of your request. That's been the consistent verbiage used by some of these police departments. But, man, there should be hard deadlines, like, according to white people's laws, deadlines for next week. Like, no ifs, ands, buts, no extensions, hand over for next week. So I am feeling a little bit, you could say, paranoid, nervous, fearful, powerful white people, maybe a combination of all three. But looking forward to next week. If anything unusual, bizarre should happen to Gus T, just make sure that it is on record. We do have a number of FOIA requests, FBI enforcement agencies across the land, where they are on the clock. They are on the clock for next week. No extensions. Hand over the files. I am looking forward. What did they have material specifically on Neely Fuller Jr., Dr. Francis Cress Welsing? Looking forward to seeing Gus T laying low. This is the week where I'm not going hunting, not going boating, not going hang gliding. Stay in the house, sit quietly, and watch the clock as we count down. Almost want to give me one of them big hourglasses. Just watch the clock as we count down to next week. Checking my emails. I'm waking up early that morning, have breakfast, and just sit and watch my email. Whew, cannot wait. But yes, in case anything bizarre happens, I'm not suicidal. I'm not depressed. I do not have any sort of fatal disease or anything of the sort. I'm eagerly awaiting my files for next week. That's it. Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse, coincidentally, with us as well. If you have commentary to share, it should be with us.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Thank you for the show, Gus, and all of your efforts and providing a very good program, sir. I just have just a few reports I'd like to share. The first is I've been in another location at the job, and there have been some things that I've heard be discussed, I guess like exchanges or whatnot, that I had wanted to share. And the first two would be there's a black supervisor, a black male, and he was speaking with a white man, a white dude, and he was about to go home in the truck or whatever, and I guess he had like a tire issue, and the white guy says, "Oh, you gonna drive on that? You gonna drive home on that tire?" He said, "Yeah, I don't really have that far to go." And then the white guy says, "No." The black male supervisor then says, "Like, yeah, it'll be just fine and everything." But he comes in, the white guy says, "Oh, famous person's last word," or something like that, some kind of comment or phrase he made. And, I thought it was racism being practiced in that, where he said that, and then he came back and followed it up with, "Oh, not trying to be cruel, sir." He said, "Sir." Okay, say, I'm not trying to be cruel, sir. Just wanted to help you out or something, some kind of comment he made. And there was another day where two black males were speaking, because I thought about how, Gus, you mentioned how about speaking about politics or not speaking about politics on the job and certain type of topics like that. So they tend to do that quite often. But on this occasion, the younger black male came back and said, "Oh, you just won't believe what was just said to me," And he said one of the white women at the other building, and ironically, I think this is the same white woman that wanted to really wear her orange and green FAMU shirt. He described her as being too comfortable and said something about his locks, his hair, okay? Or well, when are you going to redo them or something like that, or something that I guess he felt bothered him or something like that. When are you going to retwist them, or are you going to do something about that or something? And he just said, he kept making that comment like, I can't believe she said that to me, and I had to stop and think. I thought that was constructive, because he might have been thinking of saying some things that might have gotten him in trouble, I guess. So he was just pondering on what to say, how to reply. He said he told the white chick to don't say that to me or anything like that. Something of that nature. We don't know each other or anything, because he just pretty much just comes by like doing a courier type of job task. So yeah, that was said right there. And then there was another situation where a white woman came on to the job. I guess she was crying because she had just, I guess, gotten like a write-up or something, but she's a part of a clique that I described of white women that have been there at least like the last maybe 10 to 12 years. This one white woman got hired maybe like in 2012, and from then to like 2024, a lot of her personal outside of work, other white female friends and associates have been hired onto the staff, and then some of them have gone to another county to work at other courthouses, and some of them are still staying behind. And, of course, them being classified as white, they've gone on like upper tier, like getting other promotions and titles and things like that. So this was one of those white women. I guess she was just in the start, I guess, I don't know what term to describe, but a victim of racism, said that she was just upset that she actually was I guess I can say reprimanded for something she did recently. I'm not sure on what it was, but I'm quite sure she's still practicing racism in some way. She was trying to offer a black female who was skeptical, was very suspicious, offering her some cake, and then the food, once again, they like to have very unhealthy food, Krispy Kreme and things like that, Cinnabon, at these events and things like that. So she's offering all of a sudden to bring her a slice of cake and things like that. So, the victim rejected that offer to do that. And other than that, I'm trying to think if there's any other thing I'd like to share that's been going on recently. I think that may be it at the moment. But, yeah, those are some of the things that I like to share that have been going on recently. So, and there are 2 black supervisors at on the civil side, and I think they have these things, so-called meetings called leadership meetings, and I guess they're going to start having them toward the end of every month. And I will be trying to observe and see what things that they may end up speaking on when it comes to those meetings. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Wow, that is fascinating. They have black male managers holding meetings on leadership, like, ooh-wee, and then black males attending, like, dang, I could see the click, like, we need to put a stop to this. Like, Negro leadership it's DEI violation at least. Like, yeah, we'll message about this immediately. We have to see, like, how long do they allow the Negro leadership meetings with the black males to proceed or infiltrate and say, we'll come and hang out too. Yes. Like, man, I cannot wait. Like, looking forward to the field notes. He didn't say this was exclusively for black people, so I assume everybody at the courthouse would be welcome, but he did say it's black males who, putting it on, unless I misheard that. So, wow. Fascinating times at the courthouse. I don't know now. I don't know if one of the black dudes doing the leadership thing, but the white fella who came up to inquire about his tire, oh man, you gonna drive with your tire like that? And black brother said, oh man, I don't really have that far to go. It'll be fine. And he said, the white fella told him, oh man, that's famous person's last words. Now, that I think could easily, it's kind of trifling. I mean, I guess you could say safety. I could hear some people saying, look at here, that is not racist, and that's what I say about you niggers, and you always play the race card, and you and Johnny Cochran, and that's just polite, chatter amongst colleagues in the workplace. And he maybe he would have offered him a ride home. See, if it, maybe that was about what was about to come out of his mouth, but he followed it up. Not trying to be cruel, sir. I also thought in that context, now, unless you say sir all the time, like, what's all the sir? I mean, before when you was, dramatizing me hypothetically going off the road because of my tire, it wasn't sir then. What's with the sir now? I'd also want to know, like, is this a black person that talks to me? I mean, excuse me, is this a white fella that talks to me all the time? Like, do we chit chat, or are you just coming up today to talk about the tire and me killing myself on the road? And, I ain't mean to be cruel. I just, you concerned about you. And to the point of, so is this a white person who would offer to give me a ride home? Or you just gonna snicker about, oh man, your car ain't right, leave with it. Doesn't get any better than tacky. And I could hear some listeners say white brother was not trying to be rude. Although, like I said, he had to come out and say, oh, I wasn't trying to be like, dang. But if he didn't hear, you need to ride home, you let me know, black brother. Yeah, I ain't wishing it on you with this, knock on wood. But if something do happen, you let me know. I'll make sure you get home safe. That's, hey, all right, now we getting somewhere. I didn't hear all that. Doesn't get any better than tacky. And now the black fella that came in with the locks, that right there is why I say the hair, dress, all of that, it's the same every day. I don't do no elaborate changing up and switching it up and new style. The people that you work with, they only see your hair one way. I said I would get the same slacks, same blouse, same whatever you wear. You can get the exact same or very similar neutral type colors of the exact same outfit so that you kind of look like you wear the same clothes or at least the same type of clothing every day. So you have a uniform, which you do. That way we don't have discussion about my clothing, hair, jewelry, and I'm not talking about any of that for you either. Just the work. That's why I said, because it shouldn't be nothing where somebody, we don't talk about nothing but the work. And maybe we don't even have no discussion about that, because I think he said with this black male, he's not even in the office every day. So we don't have no everyday chit chat. We don't go out to lunch and, you know, you make your homemade soap and you bring me a batch and all that. No, we don't have no rapport like that at all. Who are you up there? Leroy, when you gonna touch your locks up? They looking a little rough. Who are you? And really, that's one on the, and I love it. We got, happened 2 times today. Stop and think. For workplace racism, like that's the 3. Follow the logic. Stop and think. Say frequently, you don't have to respond immediately. That's one for sure. And that's one you might not need to say anything. Now again, Fuller said all questions are valid. I, Gus T, say 99% of the time I agree with Fuller. Once out of 100, this might be one of them 1 out of 100. Now, any folks out there and you say, hey, that's a legit question, you know, that's a white woman and she loves FAMU and black people and I just want to know when you're going to switch it up, Leroy. You got the best hair in the world. I do that with my own hair. That might be about the most you're going to get from me in terms of a response. And even you all can flip this one around. If you thought the first one, hey, he's sensitive and you all making up stuff and you indulging him, he talking about the white fella saying, oh man, I heard that's famous last word, you know, you about to go off the road with a car. That's not racist, you know. He was just playing. He was just being friendly. He said he wasn't trying to be cruel. That wasn't racist. You all just jump to conclusions and make up things out of nothing. Okay, well, what about the got the soap for Leroy? We want him to do his hair. And change that one around and keep it exactly to what we got here. Imagine this black fella come into this white woman. Oh man, what's going on? You got some gray showing and everything? Are you going to do something about that? You can imagine. I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry about that, Gus. I was just saying, trouble. That'll be trouble.
He'd have been fired. Panic button. Like, do what? Do what? Even, really. He could have came in and, hey, haven't they talked to you about wearing that FAMU paraphernalia in the workplace before? When you going to shape up, act right, dress appropriately. Leroy could have got in big time. Who do you think you are? Questioning what buddy. Any way you shake it up and pour it, there is no way in the world a black dude is going to come up and question a white woman about her hair, grooming her, and even suggesting that maybe there's something deficient about your grooming habits and hair. Buddy, you are out of your mind. But that's one, I don't even know that you need to respond on that one. Like, duly noted. Who are you? Racist suspect, and keep it moving. And she got the FAMU. I'd be pointing out the one with the FAMU shirt. Like, wow. Not all white people racist? The foodie said the black female got reprimanded. Now, even that, the white woman who was talking about the hair, she was breaking all kinds of rules with the not the grooming policy, but the wardrobe policy. She was violating policy and procedure. And then she had the old homemade soap or fragrances or whatever it was. That's violating policy and procedure. How many reprimands did she get? Verbal warning, written warning, you're going to behave, you're going to dress appropriately in the workplace and all that. There are lots of white people there that do not follow the rules. They come out and we penalize black people. You know, we write up, you didn't do right. Come on. That is standard operating procedure in the workplace too. If anything, that's why I say, hey, try to get that policy and procedure before you take the job so that you know what is expected of you so you can do your best to follow it. And then you can also observe, because I for sure make note, now it can't be that we're going to come and penalize me or any of the non-white employees for their conduct while you are allowing white people to break the very same rules all the time, which generally happens in the workplace. You would, to be mindful or conscious of all this, you would have to be informed of policy and procedure so that you can, start making notes and all that. But that's why I say, man, be aware, read the whole thing in advance, and then to the best of your ability to follow policy and procedure, because a lot of times they'll get us as well things that we didn't know, or they'll have a haphazard application of policy and procedure. So we'll see other white people breaking the rules or what have you, and we'll think it's not really that big a deal either. And then they'll, whammo, you can't behave like the white people. Policy and procedure, big one. Follow it, know it, but expect the white people to break it all the time, especially to try to mess with you. And even sometimes they will encourage the black employees to break the rules so that they can get us in trouble. He said after they wrote this black female up and everything, messed her day up, they talking about all this bad food, same thing they do forever. They want to bring in all the Krispy Kreme and cinnamon rolls and all the rest of all of that sugar. Man, I told you I went the transgender presenter. They had a big glamorous banquet after it was over, as UW often does. And they had a big fruit platter. And so I was the first one to get to the fruit platter. So I was like, oh my goodness. They had like honeydew and strawberries, and watermelon, and pineapple, and cantaloupe, and blueberries. Did I say blueberries? There's so much fresh fruit out on their display. And I looked over, and of course, they had all the obligatory cookies. Like, they had way more cookies than fruit, which I did find kind of, But I mean, hey, way more people ate cookies than fruit, so they knew what they were doing. I did not get any cookies. Proud vegan. You never know. I mean, I just assume if they have cookies that they're going to have milk and God knows what else in them. So, and why would I eat the cookies? They had all the, blueberries and everything. But Krispy Kreme, cinnamon roll. We got all the diabetes and obesity and Ozempic problems in the world. hopefully we don't need both the Krispy Kreme and the cinnamon. Like, good God. Like, come on. We got bikini season coming, don't they say? All the excuses. Summertime coming. We don't need all that. Gee whiz. Water. We can't just almonds. Few the fruit platter. We can't do we get the oranges. Get some citrus. No, dump all that bad food on, and then I get in my sugar coma and don't want to do no work for the last half of the day, and they get me in trouble for that too. I fell asleep at done got all that sugar in my system. Hopefully, again, they didn't have both. That sort of thing right there. I would take like, wow, both? Even if you get a and cut it in half, both? I can't even think of a day when I would get both Krispy Kreme and a cinnamon roll. Like, dang, that is, come on. Like this. Diabetes, it'll kill you. And white supremacy, racism, and sometimes it's all the same thing. Drink more water. Much obliged for sharing. I guess that's part of the workplace safety too. Like, don't let them swango you with the donuts, whether they're poisoned or not. We still don't need all that diabetes. So yeah, do not come to the workplace looking for victuals. And either way, I guess they said at the school when they would have the food and such, the person would come and steal them. We're like, hey, you don't show off and have all this food. I'm gonna take all this home. You don't need, man. Do not depend on them having food in the workplace. It'll probably be poisoned or stolen. Diabetes, it'll kill you. And racism. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. We need high-functioning brain computers to solve our problems, and we have plenty of them. It has been time. Creator, remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. Remind us, stop name-calling people classified as black, even in the workplace, maybe especially in the workplace. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my condition. Mm-hmm. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.